So now to some complications of the retail method. You get your cost method, which is average cost, and we can use the retail method to approximate average cost. We can also use what's called the conventional retail method, which is going to approximate your lower of cost or market. And how we arrive at these, it's when we add in or don't add in the markups and markdowns that make the difference in how this all works. Okay, so let's just, so with the cost method, average cost method, you're going to include both your markups and your markdowns before you compute the percentage. With the conventional method, which is the lower of cost or market, you're going to include your markups, but not your markdowns before you compute the percentage. Okay, so let's just see how this works. So here we've got our beginning inventory at cost and retail, purchases and available for sale, and then to add the complications, we've got net markups, which means markups less markup cancellations. We've got net markdowns, which are minus your markdowns plus your markdown cancellations. And then they're given the net sales for the period. Okay, so if we're using the average cost assumption, we're going to include both the markups and the markdowns before we calculate the percentage. So here's our cost data, here's our retail. Okay, so here's our cost. And then we're going to do the markups. We're going to add the 10, we're going to subtract the 8, and we're going to calculate the percentage. Rather than using here, we're going to go 404,480 divided by the 632. So we're going to include both the markups and the markdowns, the net markups and downs, before we calculate the percentage. Okay, so that'll give you one percentage. And so when you follow that down and you take off your sales of 434, so you're calculating the percentage right here, take off your sales, you've got your ending inventory at retail times 60.64, gives you your ending inventory at cost. And so you can arrive at your estimated cost of goods sold, you get your goods available, plus your ending inventory, plus your cost of goods sold. Okay. So now, if we're going to use the lower of cost or market, you just see how this is a little bit different. We still are using the cost here, but we're only going to include markups, net markups, before we do the percentage. So we're going to add the markups, calculate the percentage, which comes out a little bit different, okay? And then we still take off the markdowns, but it's after that percentage is calculated. So all of the markups and markdowns get included on the retail side, but it's only, when they're taken will determine the method that you're using. Or the method you're using determines when you take them, I guess. Okay, so the easiest way to work through these is do a few, and you can sort of see how the different ending inventories come out, see how the different cost of goods sold come out, and you'll see that, oh yeah, that does approximate lower of cost or market, or yeah, this one is more like average cost. Okay, so you've got those two. Okay, and there's just a little bit on sort of the implications of what this means, which I'll leave you to look at. I guess the good news is that we do not use, we're not going to be covering some of the other methods, like let's see, exactly what do they call it here? Yeah, we do LIFO, FIFO, and we're just really going to do those two. We're not going to do any of the LIFO retail method is not covered, and the dollar value LIFO retail method is not covered, but this gives you the basics of the method. Now I'll get to the next little things on this method that, these are the sort of the complications, and then there's the things that drive you crazy. So I'll do that next.